Welcome to The Explainer, where we bring some real energy and clarity to complex topics. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating subject from the Islamic tradition. We are looking at the framework for navigating emotional and physical distress through specific supplications, what we call dua. Look, whether you're dealing with a minor, everyday frustration or a massive, life-altering upheaval, the sources we're digging into today actually provide a remarkably structured emotional toolkit.
Right off the bat, let's ground ourselves in reality. This Quranic quote hits the nail right on the head. Trials and tribulations, they are an absolute certainty. Hardship isn't some glitch in the system. It's a fundamental feature of the human experience. So the question isn't really if we'll face difficulties, but exactly how we're going to respond when we inevitably do.
To figure out that response, we're taking a very structured emotional journey today. Here's the roadmap. We'll start with the reality of hardship, then move into finding patience and strength, easing anxiety and fear, facing grief and illness, uncovering the specific dua for deep distress, and finally, reaching our ultimate goal, which is afia. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The reality of hardship. Before we even look at the specific words to say during a tough time, we really need to understand the mindset required to say them effectively.
Okay, this is an absolutely crucial point. In the Islamic framework, turning to spiritual remedies never ever replaces seeking professional mental health support. The sources we're analyzing today are super clear on this. Both paths are deeply encouraged. They literally work hand in hand. Preserving your mental health is a massive priority, and there is zero shame in seeking therapy or medical help while you're simultaneously using these prayers to heal your heart. It's the whole package.
And this really illustrates how hardships are framed in this tradition. These trials aren't viewed as random, cruel punishments. Instead, they're seen as hidden blessings, designed to level you up spiritually. They act as an expiation for past mistakes, a catalyst for massive personal growth, and a direct pathway to getting closer to the Creator. It is a total paradigm shift. Suddenly, the struggle itself has immense, tangible value.
But let's be real, just knowing the struggle has value doesn't magically make it easy to deal with. When the shock of a trial first hits you, you need immediate coping mechanisms. That brings us to Section 2, finding patience and strength.
Before we can truly process or heal from any crisis, we need to ask for a concept known as sabr. Now, it's often translated simply as patience, but actually, scratch that. It is way more active than just sitting around waiting for things to get better. It is a deep endurance. It's serious resilience in the face of difficulties. It's that calm, anchored grit you need to face a challenge with grace rather than just panicking.
So, how do you get that kind of endurance? Well, you ask for it directly. This powerful supplication translates to, "My Lord, help me in my patience and strengthen me in my affliction." By using this exact prayer, you're actively acknowledging that sometimes human willpower alone just isn't going to cut it. You're basically asking to borrow strength from a higher divine source when your own internal tank is completely running on empty.
Once we've secured that baseline of patience, we move right into Section 3, easing anxiety and fear. Because let's face it, we have to manage the heavy emotional baggage that usually tags along with a trial.
Now, what's really fascinating about this specific prayer is how incredibly simple yet universally applicable it is. O Allah, I seek refuge in you from fear and anxiety. When doubt and worry are literally trying to paralyze you and keep you stuck, this prayer acts as a direct, no-nonsense plea for mental clarity. It acknowledges the emotion, sure, but it absolutely refuses to let that emotion take the driver's seat.
And right alongside easing the fear is the need to ease the actual burden itself. This beautiful supplication reads, "O Allah, there is no ease except in that which you have made easy." It instantly relieves your anxiety by acknowledging that the Creator is the one ultimately in control of the outcomes. It takes that crushing, suffocating pressure right off your own shoulders. You do your absolute best, but you trust that the ultimate easing of the situation is in divine hands.
Of course, we know not all hardships are just temporary anxieties or bad days at work. This brings us to Section 4, facing grief and illness. Navigating profound loss or severe physical and mental sickness, well, those are some of the heaviest burdens a human being can possibly carry.
When you're hit with the immense shock of a loss, especially losing a loved one, this profound phrase is immediately recited. Indeed, we belong to Allah, and to Him is our return. It provides this wave of immediate comfort during the absolute sharpest sting of grief, mostly because it zooms us way out. It reminds us of the ultimate big picture. This world is temporary, and everything is part of a grander divine plan. And when it comes to severe physical or mental conditions, the tradition is surprisingly proactive.
This specific prayer is all about seeking protection from devastating chronic diseases. And notice, it explicitly includes madness, which is what we'd classify today as severe mental illness. As our sources highlight, preserving both your physical health and your mental sanity is a massive objective here. The Prophet frequently recited this exact prayer, proving that asking for psychological safety is a non-negotiable daily priority.
But what happens when the situation escalates even further than that? Let's look at Section 5, the Dua for deep distress. What do you do when you feel totally trapped or entirely overwhelmed by the consequences of your own mistakes?
I want you to genuinely think about the absolute darkest, most isolated moment imaginable for a second. The kind of moment where you feel completely cut off from the rest of the world, with zero options left. How would you call out for rescue? Like, what are the most powerful words you could possibly string together?
According to the tradition, it is this exact phrase, "O Allah, there is no God except you. You are far above all imperfections. Indeed, I have been among the wrongdoers." These are the legendary words of the prophet Jonah, or Yunus. These were literally uttered from the pitch-black darkness of the belly of the whale. And the Prophet Muhammad noted that this specific prayer practically guarantees a response for any believer facing severe hardship.
So, why does it work so well? Let's break down the formula. First, it asserts the absolute perfection and oneness of the Creator. Then, and here is the really tough part, it requires a radically sincere admission of your own faults. I have been among the wrongdoers. It perfectly combines ultimate divine reverence with absolute human humility. That specific combination, that's the master key that unlocks divine rescue from literally any overwhelming situation.
As we round out our journey today, moving from the initial shock of a trial all the way through the belly of the whale, we finally arrive at our destination, Section 6, the ultimate goal, Afia.
Because look, the goal isn't just to barely survive a hardship by the skin of your teeth. The goal is to achieve Afia. It's a gorgeous, all-encompassing concept. It doesn't just mean your body is healthy. It means comprehensive 360-degree protection, total well-being, spiritually, physically, emotionally, and socially. It is the state of being completely whole, completely safe, and totally free from afflictions.
This request for total well-being is so fundamental to living a good life that the Prophet consistently made this exact supplication every single morning and every single evening. O Allah, I ask you for well-being in this world and the hereafter. It's basically the ultimate daily anchor, completely resetting your intentions and asking for full-spectrum safety before your day even begins and right after it ends.
Which brings us to this profound insight from the classical scholar Imam Ibn al-Qayyim. He states that this kind of prayer is the enemy of calamity. It is the weapon of the believer. And I think this brilliantly captures our main takeaway from today's explainer. In this tradition, supplication is never just some passive, helpless wish that you toss into the void. No way. It is an active, deeply empowering, and highly structured weapon against life's greatest calamities.
We've seen today exactly how specific words can shift our mindset, ease our deepest anxieties, and connect us to a higher power in our darkest, most isolated moments. So, the next time hardship strikes, because, as we established way back at the beginning, we know for a fact it will you feel equipped to pick up these powerful tools and find your way back to peace? Think about how you might actually incorporate this act of resilience into your own life starting today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.